In this brief video, we will review 3 UniLyft models and how to set up, operate, and maintain them. At all times, be sure to wear approved steel-toe boots as well as any other personal protective equipment noted in the user's manual. Let's have a look at the 3 models of UniLyft. The Model L is a narrow-track self-propelled vacuum lifter designed specifically for smaller spaces, but works in larger spaces as well. It uses 4 outriggers to stabilize the machine and to plumb the mast. The PM model is a wide-track machine with built-in forks capable of transporting a pallet of pavers weighing up to 4,000 pounds. The P model is a skid steer attachment which operates off the PTO. Each model has different benefits and capabilities. However, all UniLyft models have the same vertical mast with a horizontal crane arm and all operate the same. The crane arm and mast assembly must be uncompacted and raised to the vertical position before use. Locate and loosen the rubber strap that is holding the large suction tube by taking it completely off the button hook. Disconnect the horizontal crane arm extension from the main arm by loosening the locking clamp so that it can move freely. To raise the horizontal crane arm, which is attached to the top of the mast, simply turn the belt crank on the main mast and keep turning it in a clockwise fashion until the mast clamp engages to the top of the mast. This mast clamp must be engaged before the machine can be used. Once clamped, go back 1 turn to avoid unnecessary tension on the belt. Never force the belt crank. It should always move smoothly, but if it seems to take too much effort, check to ensure that the belt is not damaged or twisted. To return the crane arm back into compact position, crank the belt slightly clockwise to take pressure off the mast clamp. Pull on the mast clamp release cable and simply turn the crank counterclockwise until the crane arm is all the way down. Make sure you conduct the following pre-checks before operating the UniLyft. 1. Engine oil. 2. Fuel level. 3. Vacuum air filter. To check the air filter, remove the filter cover and filter and inspect for dust buildup. Shaking and tapping the filter will indicate if there is a buildup and whether a new filter is required. A clogged filter will reduce lifting capacity and possibly damage the vacuum pump. Filters clog in both dusty and damp working conditions and should be checked twice daily. Never operate a UniLyft without a filter or with a clogged filter. You can now start your engine and engage the power source and begin lifting and placing pavers. Always refer to the operator's manual for specific engine starting protocol. An operator's manual is provided with each machine. Additional copies can be downloaded from unilock.com. On both the L machine and the PM machines, there are red-colored emergency lockout switches which may need to be reset if they were used to shut the machine off. The engine throttles are located at the top right-hand side of the main console. Adjust the engine speed to attain sufficient suction. The engine powers a hydraulic system. The hydraulics power the tracks or the vacuum pump. In order to make sure the hydraulic system is on, make sure you pull back the options lever which is located on the operator's console. You can only power one function at a time, the tracks for moving or the suction pump. The function selector is located on the main body of the L machine and on the operator's console on the PM machine. Plumbing of the vertical mast is critical to ensure that products are placed easily and safely. The L machine has 4 outriggers that help you plumb the mast. Never operate the L machine without the stabilizers extended. Use the 4 levers on the main body to adjust the outriggers until the mast is plumb. The metal feet on the stabilizers are well rounded and will not damage the stone when you put them down. There are times when you might want to put some extra blocks underneath the outriggers so that you can accommodate a slope grade. This must be done very carefully so that you don't accidentally tip the machine over by using a block that is too large. The PM and P machines do not have outriggers because they are mounted on heavier chassis. The PM machine has a lever on the main console that helps plumb the mast from left to right and front to back. The P machine is a UniLyft attachment which can be mounted onto a skid steer or loader. The mast on this model is plumbed using the loader's fork angle adjustment and the left-right adjustment. A basic plumb bob mounted on the main mast of all the units accurately indicates when plumb has been achieved. After plumbing the mast, refer to disengage the U-Lock on the overhead lifting arm so you will have a complete 270-degree swing movement with the overhead arm. To move the UniLyft from one location to another, stand on the operator's platform at the rear of the unit in order to access the controls, or in the case of the P machine, the skid steer will move the UniLyft. The convenient controls at the top of the UniLyft console are marked with small icons showing you what each lever does. Pressing both levers forward or backward will move you in a straight direction. Offsetting them will allow you to turn left or right like a skid steer. It is not recommended to turn around directly on the paver surface. Doing this will leave rubber scuff marks on the surface. A good practice is to use some plywood between the rubber tracks and the pavers. Before engaging the vacuum pump, set the engine speed to medium-high. Set the function lever from chassis track to vacuum pump. When the vacuum pump engages, you will immediately notice that the lifting tube will retract, indicating that there is suction. Attach the desired head to the lifting control handle using the bayonet connection. Changing heads for other style pavers takes less than 20 seconds. In order to make the operators work as light as possible, you will need to make a couple of important load adjustments using the two small knobs on the lifting control. They are marked with these symbols, with load and without load. First, adjust without load by turning the black knob left or right until the head floats on its own at about waist level. Second, place the head onto the paver or wall stone that you will be installing, and by pulling up on the lifting lever, pick up the unit. Make adjustments using the with load knob until the paver floats on its own very comfortably at waist level. After this adjustment, put the paver back down by gently pushing down on the lifting lever. Once the paver is on the ground, you can release the paver completely by gently pushing the lifting lever even further down while tipping the handle towards you. The third and final step is to repeat the first step again using the without load knob and adjust the head to float at waist level. After this adjustment, the UniLyft is ready for lifting and laying pavers. Every time you change a head or lift a different weight of product, you will need to go through the adjustment procedure again. Note, whenever the lifting device is not being used, it is important that you hang the suction head on the hook provided so that it does not float loosely in the air or on the ground, potentially sucking up sand or gravel, which will damage the vacuum pump. Always pick up larger stones on center. Picking them up from one side may result in injury and broken pieces. The horizontal top arm can reach 11 feet away from the mast, which means you have a total working diameter of 22 feet. Never stretch the lifting tube to get a farther reach. You can potentially drop the paver or injure yourself or others. To install pavers or slabs that are stacked on edge, attach a 90-degree swivel adapter to the suction head. The 90-degree adapter is easy to attach by simply removing and reinstalling 4 screws. This will allow you to easily pick up slabs stacked on edge and place them horizontally onto your bedding course. To get a proper swing down of the slab, pick up the slab as close to the center as possible. You can also pick up horizontal slabs and stack them back on edge by positioning the suction head off to one side so that the weight of the slab will tilt to one side, making it easy to set it up on edge. Suction issues are generally easy to resolve. Broken suction hoses or loose clamps are the most common cause and are easily remedied. A cracked or broken hose can be temporarily fixed in the field using some duct tape. Loose clamps can be tightened with a screwdriver. A suction gauge is a handy little tool that will help you to locate where the suction loss is occurring. By removing a hose and placing the vacuum gauge on top of the suction pipe, you can determine how much suction there is. The suction gauge should have a minimum reading of -7.25 psi suction. If the reading is good, you can move on to the other connections and check for the same reading. You can also check the suction amount right at the bottom of a suction head. Note, if you ever accidentally suck up some gravel, shut the engine off immediately and immediately check the air filter as well as the vacuum pump to make sure that nothing has contaminated the system. Here is a checklist when troubleshooting suction loss. 1. Check all hoses for holes or cracks. 2. Check all hose clamps. 3. Check air filter. 4. Check the condition of the orange foam and black rubber gaskets and replace if worn. 5. Check all points with suction gauge. 6. Check vacuum pump for damage from debris. Over time, these orange gaskets will wear off and a new one can be glued on. To do this, simply remove the old foam rubber and clean off with some sandpaper. Once clean and dry, spray the rubber adhesive onto the rubber surfaces, connect them, and then place on flat surface to dry for 60 minutes. The black rubber gasket is easy to change if required. Just loosen the small bolts holding the gasket holder, remove the gasket, and replace it with a new one, and tighten the bolts again. All grease fittings should be greased on a regular basis depending on use. There are several grease fittings located on various moving parts. Refer to the UniLyft Operator's Manual to locate all lubrication points. As per the UniLyft manual, check the tension on the rubber tracks. An access port on the side of the track housing will allow you to adjust the tension of the rubber tracks. As you can see, UniLyfts are easy to set up, operate, and maintain. Regular maintenance will provide years of trouble-free operation. Be sure to refer to your owner's manual for more detailed information.